The heart is deceitful above all things and desperately wicked. Who can know it? Wickedness is often hidden beneath the surface, and appearances can be deceiving. Even the most intimidating individuals can possess beautiful hearts, while those with innocent faces can harbor dark secrets. Secrets, by their very nature, are concealed from the world, hidden from loved ones, families, and friends. The shocking truth is that the lengths people go to hide their deepest burdens can be more devastating than the secrets themselves. As the saying goes, nothing is hidden under the sun. Ultimately, the truth will be revealed, and the elaborate facades will crumble. This phenomenon is not exclusive to any particular group. It is a universal human experience. Even those who preach virtue and morality, such as clergymen, can be hiding dark secrets. Despite their outward appearance of righteousness, they may go to great lengths to conceal their true nature. Although we expect them to be righteous and a little cautious, they are still prone to the sins of this world because they still wear flesh on them. In a small town of Smith's Station, nestled in the rolling hills of the countryside, there stood a quaint little church with a steeple that seemed to touch the sky. The church was the heart of the community, a place where people gathered to seek solace and guidance from their beloved pastor. He was a man of God, a pillar of strength and righteousness in the eyes of his congregation. His sermons were powerful and inspiring, his words filled with wisdom and compassion. He was a man who walked in the footsteps of Jesus, a beacon of light in a world filled with darkness. But even the most righteous of men are not immune to the temptations of the world. Reverend Lance Copeland, despite his unwavering faith and devotion, found himself struggling with his own inner demons. He was haunted by a secret that had been buried deep within his heart for many years, a secret that threatened to unravel the very fabric of his being. Welcome to another edition of our True Crime Family Stories. Today we'll be narrating the ordeal that broke into pieces the life of Lance Copeland, an Alabama pastor, small-town mayor, husband, and father of 3 children. Reverend Lance Copeland was a well-respected figure in the small town of Smith's Station, Alabama. As the mayor and pastor of God's City Baptist Church, Phoenix City, he had a lot on his plate. He was known for his charismatic personality and his unwavering faith. His wife, Mariam, and their 3 children were his pride and joy. As a respected pastor and mayor, Copeland was mindful of his surroundings and the company he kept. He avoided places that might tempt him to stray from his values, instead focusing on his duties and interactions with the community. On a crisp autumn evening, Copeland entered a local restaurant, greeting familiar faces and receiving warm applause. He got a lot of applause because he was a good man and an example for others to follow. He actually enjoyed these praises because they made him happy, and it was also an encouragement. Just at the entrance of the restaurant, everyone who recognized him waved at him while some bowed their heads. Others who knew very well walked up to shake his hand, and while he was greeting these people, he noticed something strange. There was someone looking directly at him, but he was not waving, nor was he smiling. He was unperturbed, and as if he was waiting for the eye contact, immediately he got it. He turned away. He always thought himself to be famous in his small community, but this guy showed no signs of respect to him. He felt he either was a new inhabitant in town and had no knowledge of him, or he purposely refused to greet him. But a few minutes into the meal, Copeland's curiosity subsided when he took a better look at him. He was a fine young man, and he thought to himself, probably he was new in town because, as far as he juggled his memory, he had never seen him. Either way, Copeland took a seat, but he still peeped at him through the corner of his eyes. Copeland was intrigued by his calm demeanor and wanted to call him, but he shrugged the feeling off. While he ate, the young man was so engrossed on his phone that he didn't seem to notice Copeland was all over him, or maybe he was but refused to pay attention to him. He ate quietly and finished his meal, and Although he left before the young man, he couldn't suppress the feeling of the curiosity he had within him overwhelmed him. He got into his car and drove home, but the moment he arrived home and met his wife, he forgot all about the encounter and thought straight again. But on Sunday, the following week, while Reverend Lance Copeland was preaching, he spotted the same man again. Fair, with well-shaved beards, blue eyes, lenses on his face, and pink lips. He lost concentration for some time, but got a hold of himself a few seconds later and continued preaching his message. Copeland refused to take his eyes off him, but during the benediction, he was distracted by his aide and suddenly lost track of the unknown man. As the grace was shared, Copeland's eyes scanned the room, his gaze frantic in its search. The young man had left an indelible mark on him, and Copeland found himself consumed by a sudden, intense desire to know more about this enigmatic stranger. If you're questioning whether Copeland is indeed a priest, the answer remains affirmative. So, what's unfolding here? Is he harboring secrets about his sexuality? The fact that he's married might suggest bisexuality, but one thing is certain. His actions are raising more questions than answers. Copeland's attraction to young, handsome men went beyond admiration. It was deeply rooted in his sexual desires. His secretive life was marked by experimentation, as evidenced by his penchant for wearing his wife's wig, fake breasts, and makeup. Despite these efforts, he struggled to capture the attention of the young men he coveted. However, his life took a dramatic turn when he encountered the mysterious young man again in his church. This chance meeting marked the beginning of Copeland's downfall, a fate he seemed willing to accept. Consumed by desire, he became obsessed with finding the young man, despite knowing nothing about him, not his name, residence, workplace, or even his social media presence. Undeterred by the challenge, Copeland embarked on a relentless pursuit, driven by an unquenchable thirst to uncover the young man's identity and make contact. Copeland's search for his mysterious young man seemed futile until luck intervened a few days later. He stumbled upon Jack again at the same restaurant where they first crossed paths. This time, Copeland mustered the courage to approach him, and they quickly hit it off after some playful teasing. As they conversed, Jack revealed that he worked in the HR department of a health insurance company. Copeland, eager to spend more time with Jack, asked for additional meetings, which Jack agreed to. Unbeknownst to Jack, he had left an indelible mark on Copeland. While Jack sensed that he had made an impact, he had no idea of the depth of Copeland's infatuation. As it turned out, Jack was openly gay and found Copeland to be irresistibly attractive. Before long, they were inseparable, meeting frequently in secret. Copeland, however, was determined to keep their relationship under wraps, avoiding public scrutiny and media attention at all costs. But despite his best efforts, Copeland inadvertently caught the attention of Bob, a young and ambitious investigative journalist. Bob's curiosity was piqued when he spotted Copeland entering a high-end restaurant hand in hand with a young man. Intrigued, Bob launched a discreet investigation, but initially, he couldn't uncover any concrete evidence. Reluctantly, he decided to let the matter drop, for the time being. 2 weeks later, Bob crossed paths with Reverend Lance Copeland again. This time, Copeland seemed innocuous, but Bob's curiosity was piqued. What was he doing waiting outside the health insurance company? Bob's initial instinct was to leave, but his journalistic instincts took over, and he decided to stay and observe. He hailed a taxi, got in, and instead of leaving, he readied his camera, waiting for a few minutes. The coincidence was too striking to ignore. Once could be chance, but twice hinted at something more. Seizing the moment, Bob snapped some photos and sped away. Determined to uncover the truth, Bob launched a thorough investigation into Copeland's life. His digging revealed several surprising facts. Firstly, Copeland had a secret female social media account, which he had identified as a female. Bob's investigation uncovered a surprising online presence, a female social media account, ostensibly belonging to Copeland, featuring provocative content that ardently supported the queer community. The account's owner openly identified as a cross-dresser, expressing a desire to transition into a woman. Copeland claimed to be a woman trapped in a man's body, awaiting the right moment to undergo gender reassignment surgery. In a revealing article, Copeland cited various obstacles delaying his decision, acknowledging the additional challenges posed by his racial identity. He expressed frustration with the perceived intolerance within the black community, fearing its potential impact on his mental health. Bob was taken aback by Copeland's radical views, which he found both annoying and disrespectful, particularly as a religious individual. What's more, as a black man himself, Bob was disturbed by Copeland's criticism of the black community's perceived intolerance. He couldn't reconcile the fact that a priest, of all people, would openly espouse such woke ideologies. Bob's investigation led him to a Reddit account where Copeland shared his unfiltered thoughts. Further digging uncovered a Facebook account with the same pseudonym, featuring photos that were unsettling for a priest. Although Copeland's makeup attempted to conceal his identity, Bob was convinced that the account belonged to him. Bob dug deeper into Jack's life, but unlike Copeland, Jack's online presence seemed unremarkable. As an openly gay individual, Jack lived a quiet life, having recently relocated to Alabama for work. He appeared to be a laid-back person without any notable controversies. However, Bob's outrage over Copeland's secret relationship with Jack, especially given his marital status, prompted him to confront Jack with the evidence. Jack denied any knowledge of Copeland's marriage, claiming that Copeland had told him he was divorced with no children. Initially, Bob sent Reverend Copeland a message warning him that he would expose their secret relationship. However, Copeland dismissed the message as a blackmail attempt by a scammer. But when Jack, who had been enthusiastic about their relationship, suddenly sent a breakup message citing his desire to avoid drama, Copeland realized that something was amiss. Jack's abrupt change of heart made Copeland understand that Bob's message was more than just an empty threat. Reverend Lance Copeland, desperate to keep his secret safe, pleaded with Bob and offered him a bribe. However, Bob remained resolute, unmoved by the pastor's attempts to buy his silence. As the situation escalated, Pastor Copeland begged Bob to reconsider, appealing to their Christian familial bond, claiming that Bob would not want to hurt his own pastor. But this emotional manipulation only fueled Bob's outrage. Enraged by the pastor's hypocrisy, Bob became determined to expose him, not just to punish Copeland, but also to protect others from similar deception. With unwavering resolve, Bob penned an explosive article, revealing the truth about Reverend Lance Copeland's secret life, and published it through the newspaper company where he worked. After weeks of silence, Copeland assumed the threat had passed and resumed his normal life. Unfazed by Jack's continued refusal to communicate, Copeland persisted in reaching out. However, his world was turned upside down when a local online news site published a shocking exposé. The article featured photographs of Copeland dressed in women's attire and makeup, sending shockwaves through the community. The fallout was immediate, with gossip spreading rapidly and Reverend Lance Copeland's reputation left in tatters. But the situation took a darker turn when the news site published a follow-up article. It revealed that Copeland, writing under a pseudonym, had shared a disturbing fictional story online. The tale featured a woman from his real life and included unsettling details. Furthermore, the investigation uncovered that Copeland had posted images of minors and women online without their consent, sparking widespread outrage and concern. The town was stunned, grappling with the incongruity of Reverend Lance Copeland's revered public image and the disturbing allegations against him. His family, particularly his wife Mariam, was left reeling, struggling to reconcile their love and loyalty with the weight of his betrayal. As the scandal gained momentum, Copeland became a social outcast, shunned by the very community he had once led. Whispers and judgmental glances followed him everywhere, rendering his duties as pastor and mayor increasingly untenable. In a bid to salvage what was left of his reputation, Copeland issued a public apology from the pulpit of his church. However, instead of the empathy and understanding he had hoped for, the response was overwhelmingly critical. Congregants and townspeople alike continued to condemn him, some even confronting him directly. The once loyal flock now kept their distance, leaving Copeland isolated and forsaken. Reverend Lance Copeland's anger boiled over, and he lashed out at Bob, blaming him for the ruin of his reputation. Despite his earlier pleas for mercy, Bob had gone ahead and exposed his secrets. Seething with resentment, Copeland made a rash decision. He retrieved his hunting rifle from home and placed it in the back seat of his car. Then he tracked down Bob's workplace and waited patiently outside. As Bob finished his shift at 5 p.m., Copeland watched as he hailed a taxi and headed home. Copeland followed him to his apartment. He waited for at least 4 hours in his car, lost in thought or waiting for the perfect moment to strike. Finally, at 9:40 p.m., he emerged from his vehicle and made his way into Bob's apartment. As Bob walked out of the kitchen, he was met with a terrifying sight. Reverend Lance Copeland standing in his living room, rifle pointed directly at him. Bob's plate slipped from his grasp, shattering on the floor and echoing through the house. The sequence of events inside Bob's apartment remains unclear, but by 9:48 p.m., Reverend Lance Copeland left Bob's apartment, having fired 2 shots that reverberated through the building. He calmly walked to his car and began driving at a snail's pace, barely exceeding 20 km/h. His unusual behavior caught the attention of a patrolling police officer who activated his siren. However, Copeland seemed oblivious, continuing to drive slowly without acceleration or deceleration. The officer found this behavior perplexing and called for backup. Upon their arrival, the police used a public address system to instruct Copeland, but he knew his time was up. As the officers closed in, Copeland retrieved his rifle and placed it against his head. Before the police could intervene, he pulled the trigger, and his blood splattered across the windshield. Emergency services were swiftly alerted after neighbors reported hearing gunshots. Upon entering the residence, responders found Bob's lifeless body, bearing gunshot wounds to the upper torso and head. He was pronounced dead at the scene. Given the widespread media coverage, investigators initially identified Copeland as the prime suspect. However, upon discovering his subsequent suicide, detectives began connecting the dots. A crucial piece of evidence emerged when ballistics tests revealed that the bullets from Copeland's rifle matched those found in Bob's body, conclusively linking Copeland to the crime. The town of Smith's Station was enveloped in mourning, reeling from the shocking loss of their pastor and mayor. The allegations against Copeland cast a dark shadow over the community, leaving many struggling to reconcile their memories of him with the disturbing revelations. As the days passed, more details emerged about Copeland's secret life. It became clear that he had grappled with his gender identity for years, living a double life that remained hidden from his loved ones. The weight of his secrets ultimately proved too crushing, culminating in his tragic demise. The town was left grappling with profound questions of forgiveness, understanding, and the complexities of human nature. While some found Copeland's actions unforgivable, tarnishing their memories of him, others saw his struggles as a poignant reminder of the intricacies and challenges of the human experience. 2 weeks after his passing, Pastor Copeland was laid to rest. His family, still reeling from the shock, requested privacy to grieve without media intrusion. The tragedy served as a poignant reminder of the importance of authenticity. Living a double life can have devastating consequences. Embracing one's true self and being proud of who you are is essential. If your actions don't align with your values, it's a sign to reevaluate and make a change. Indeed, humanity's capacity for error and wrongdoing is well documented throughout history. Yet, forgiveness is a divine quality that allows us to rise above our flaws and imperfections. Forgiveness is the best way to heal from pain, and by choosing to forgive, we can break free from cycles of hurt and anger and work towards healing, redemption, and personal growth. Thank you for tuning in. If you'd like to catch up on more chilling true crime stories, kindly subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to hit the notification bell to ensure you never miss a new story.